welcome back to Anglesey, where we appear to swap the rain for bright sunshine, although it's still very windy. Race 1 was certainly eventful for some of our drivers, so let's go and catch up with them and find out what happened. Darryl, what happened in race 1?
On the first parade lap, I found out that the clutch pedal, the clutch pedal went down to the floor, so we had to get it in and bleed it, and then I went back out and I found out I had a misfire after that, so I called it a day.
Gear shifter fell off in my hand. I went to the third gear on the straight and it just come off in my hand, so nothing I could do about it. Went round the rest of the track, which was a full lap, in second gear. Came in, got out of the car because I thought that was the end of the race. My dad found a bolt, so I bolted it back in then quickly, threw my helmet on and went back out. I think we managed to do 5-6 laps and then it got stuck in third again, so finished the race in third gear.
I'd flat spotted a couple of tyres quite badly. The ABS had got rattled by a curb slightly and the light had come on, so I knew I had no ABS, and in the damp conditions when I changed gear, locked up and I had a big spin. I thought I had a puncture, but I didn't. I just flat spotted a couple of tyres. By the time I came in and changed those, it was still pretty dodgy, and I thought it was maybe a wheel bearing or something going, but it was just the other two tyres that were also flat spotted, so I just choodled round to get the points at the end.
After the first corner, we squeezed up to third, but just coming into the second corner, I went to change down and the throttle just stayed on full. It was a difficult moment, but that just threw me off and straight into the barrier.
Yeah, I bet that was quite a hairy moment inside the car.
You don't want to be doing 90 mile an hour with the throttle wide open and your hand and your foot on the brake. So it's just my first DNF for this season. We've had some great luck during the season, so that was the first bit of real bad luck.
Our championship leader Andy Ruin is starting here in 4th place. Both he and our 2nd place starter Danny Winstanley had problems in race 1, but the cars are ready and fixed and hoping for a good result this time round. Starting on pole position again, well, it's Jordan Witt in the Chevron GR8. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Charlie. The cars are ready on the grid and already out on their pace lap with Jordan Witt once more on pole position, Danny Winstanley alongside him, Tom Andrew and Andy Ruin again locking out the second row of the grid. Bartley Dougal this time in 10th position in the Group 3 BMW with David Witt, Mark Radcliffe and then Darrell Wilson in the Marcos rounding out the field. It's going to be an exciting race as the pack just about ready for the off. Rolling start as ever, the red lights go out and away we go. At Anglesey once more, the field blasting through towards turn 1 and then on towards the Booker track, banking again. Danny Winstanley trying to get on terms in the early stages with Jordan Witt. He failed to take the early advantage, and this time Andy Ruin is there in 3rd position right in his tail. So we've got Witt from Winstanley, then Ruin, then Tom Andrew leading Group 2 in 4th place overall and keeping Paul Hogarth at bay at the moment. As look at Winstanley winding up the big TPR through Church. He's going to look to get the power down here, climbing up the hill and then possibly make some sort of a move into School and then Rocket. Is he going to be able to? I'm not sure, but everybody cleanly through in the early stages. Yes, here they come through Rocket, and Danny Winstanley this time around not the Rocket man. He wasn't quite able to get onto terms with Jordan Witt. Instead, he remains in 2nd position with Andy Ruin there in 3rd position. Jordan Witt will be looking to do exactly what he did in race 1, which is drive away from the rest of them. Tom Andrew just beginning to put Andy Ruin under some pressure as well, and David Tomlin, poor start for him. He is down in the midfield at the moment. He'll be wanting to try and get onto the tail of Andy Ruin as quickly as possible down the Tom Price straight and into the hairpin for the first time, and still Danny Winstanley in hot pursuit of Jordan Witt, and this time it's Andy Ruin who has just begun to close in slightly onto the tail of Danny Winstanley as well. The pack making a wonderful sight set against the RSC as they blast down through to complete the first lap of the race with still the race leader Jordan Witt just every corner trying to put a 1/10 of a second onto Danny Winstanley. Well, at least at the moment the destiny of this race is in Danny Winstanley's hands, not his gear stick, which is what put him out of race 1. Likewise, Andy Ruin, the throttle is doing what it should do, and it's keeping Andy Ruin in very firm contention at this stage of the race, because 25-minute race here for the GT Cup Championship. They can't win it in the first couple of laps, but they can certainly lose it. So everybody just getting themselves up to pace nice and early, with the exception of David Witt, who slides through past Bartley Dougal. So they resume exactly where they left off from race 1, with the Group 3 leader Bartley Dougal chasing David Witt through School as the race leaders exit Peel. And it's still these 3 leaders. There's very little changing in terms of the gap between them, and it's getting to that stage of the championship where points are getting very valuable for all of these drives. So Andy Ruin in 3rd, leading the championship. Who will want on on one hand to push, on the other hand it will be in the back of his mind that he just wants to claim the points from this weekend. So he's there in third, Tom Andrew in fourth, leading Group 2 with Paul Hogarth on his tail, and Paul Hogarth in the Porsche will be looking every which way to get it past that Morgan of Tom Andrew. Well, nobody putting Jordan Witt under pressure to go through at the moment, although Danny Winstanley, look at that in the TVR, leaning on the tyres through turn 1 and then braking so heavily into Booker Track banking the front skirt of the car almost scraping off the tarmac, and then he plants his right foot as the car surges away. Francis Galashan and Colin Broster as they were, which means absolutely nose to tail as Colin Broster looks to make the move nice and early on Francis Galashan. Now into Church, that's a brave move, but Broster goes for it, and Broster does go for it, and through he goes up the inside. Nicely judged manoeuvre through Church and Francis Galashan. Well, by the time he saw Colin Broster, it was too late to close the door, so Broster goes through. It also brings David Tomlin and Michael Simmons into the mix as well, as, would you believe it, Darryl Wilson back into the pits again. Such a shame for him. Look at this, five-way scrap with Simmons, the fourth of the cars in that train, and then David Witt getting onto their tail. Well, the GT Cup Championship, multi-mark racing at its best, and this weekend, no exception. It's Darryl Wilson heads back out into the race. Colin Broster isn't really pulling away here from Francis Galashan. If anything, the pair of them battling is enabling David Tomlin just to close onto their tail, and Michael Simmons as well beginning to challenge Tomlin. Well, there's Wilson in the Marcos, circulating hopefully that car will stay in one piece to see him through to the end of the race, and he may find himself very shortly going a lap down to this ferocious fivesome. These five cars continuing to squabble. This time it's Michael Simmons looking at the outside of David Tomlin through the Booker Track banking, and as Tomlin and Simmons battle, David Witt comes to their tail, and Colin Broster and Francis Galashan just able to stretch their legs a little bit. Still this tussle continues between Tom Andrew leading Group 2 and Paul Hogarth in the Porsche. So again, Paul Hogarth is on to terms with Tom Andrew, who just can't yet find a way to squeeze through, as Francis Galashan has been caught once more by David Tomlin. So Tomlin and Simmons have set aside their battle momentarily. This enabled them almost immediately to bring themselves up the rear spoiler of Francis Galashan's Porsche. And then, as I say that, Michael Simmons looks to fight back, draw alongside David Tomlin, but Simmons in a bright orange BMW can't do it as Tomlin launches the inside of Francis Galashan. Where did that come from? And that'd be why, because he braked so late, he almost ended up back in Bangor, and David Tomlin loses 2 positions in the process of trying to gain 1. So it's now Simmons who is taking the fright to Galashan, with David Witt having also gained the place. Andy Ruin there in 3rd position, with Tom Andrew still keeping him reasonably close company. This is an excellent weekend, Tom Andrew in the Morgan, which has proved to be very reliable. And Colin Broster, having pulled away from Francis Galashan a few moments ago, it has now been comprehensively caught once more by Galashan, with still on their tail Michael Simmons and David Witt. So this scrap is going to go all the way to the flag. It's now turned David Witt to put the pressure onto Michael Simmons, who in turn is trying to find his way past Francis Galashan, but he runs very wide at Church. That could give David Witt the opportunity to squeeze through. Let's see if he's able to do it by the time they arrive at school. Yes, it's David Witt to the inside. Whether he's made that through, I don't know, as Bartley Dougal, it is still in the lead of Group 3, although Mark Radcliffe is not too far adrift in the orange BMW. And Dave Witt did find his way through, and we've got a perspiring Porsche there. Colin Broster's in real trouble. Smoke is pouring from the rear of that car, although he continues to dispute the corner with David Witt. Whether Broster is going to slow, yes he is, unfortunately, along the Tom Price Straight. So Broster has given us so much entertainment this weekend, could well be destined for an early finish of this race, but we are in the closing stages, so he can hold on for a couple more laps. Then he may just make it to the flag, as Jordan Witt is out through Peel on his final lap of the race. It has been an emphatic weekend for Jordan Witt in the Chevron GR8, and he really has been the fastest field, as Broster unfortunately does pull in with just a couple of corners to go. There's Danny Winstanley, a very fine 2nd position for him, and super to see that TVR running reliably once more. The checker flag is ready and waiting, and Jordan Witt does the double in Anglesey. So it's Jordan Witt who gets the win. The flag almost being blown out of the marshal's hand. Well, here's the classification. The win for Witt, with Danny Winstanley in 2nd, Andy Ruin holding on for 3rd, with Tom Andrew an excellent 4th and winning Group 2, with Bartley Dougal rounding out the top 10 and winning Group 3. In terms of the group results, well, it was Jordan Witt from Danny Winstanley and Andy Ruin in Group 1. Group 2 honours went to Tom Andrew from a great drive from David Witt and Francis Galashan, 2/3 for the weekend. And in Group 3, Bartley Dougal from Mark Radcliffe, and a very well-deserved podium for Darryl Wilson. Well, a very warm round of applause for the drivers in the GT Cup Championship. They've given us some great racing this weekend, so they celebrate on the podium.
Well, Jordan, congratulations. Dream day for you.
Yeah, no, it's been a really good day for me. We've been on the pace all weekend from test day Friday all the way through. The boys have worked hard. Any little problems I've had, they've sorted out for me, so I can't complain.
Well, Tom, congratulations. Dare I say it, it looks like she's fixed.
It does, yeah. Hopefully this luck will last, but car ran really well in that race and got quite a good start and just kept it on the black stuff and brought it home, you know.
Well, congratulations, Barclay. 2 wins. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, it doesn't. I would like the fastest lap in the first lap, but Mark beat me for that, so I don't know how I did there. I don't know. I was pushing hard to try and get the extra point for the fastest lap.
Well, we're now heading towards the very sharp end of the championship, and in Group 1 it's still Andy Ruin leading the way from David Tomlin and Rupert Martin, and it's going to be between Ruin and Tomlin, I think. In Group 2, Tom Andrews launched himself into lead of the group from Francis Galashan and Sean Winder. And in Group 3, Bartley Dougal has been able to extend his advantage slightly over Mark Radcliffe and Adam Hayes. It's still very close in all 3 groups for the championship. In terms of the championship overall, well, it's Andy Ruin who has a 24-point advantage over David Tomlin, with Tom Andrew just 5 points further back. It's going to be a great run in to the end of the season.
Well, that's it for the action here at Anglesey. The scenery and the racing have certainly lived up to expectations. But from Anglesey, it's goodbye.